tribes that you have to let know that there's the opportunity for them to intervene in the case. And that can happen at almost any time, and it depends on their tribal affiliation, on what level the tribe can or was able to participate in. They will always get, if a child is identified as being a member of a tribe, then we send regular they're included in the court process if they choose to participate.
Okay.
In my experience, there's been a time where the tribe has come in and taken custody of the child. So that's, but that's up to how that individual tribe or nation is organized.
Right. So your responsibility is to the notification of the tribe,
correct.
and not the determination of their tribal enrollment or so forth.
That's I think a common misconception of the ability of social workers. So it'd be like if a social worker is interviewing a client, the client's the one that's telling them what they are, any client.
Right.
And if it's if they have Indian heritage, we wouldn't even if they're not a member of a tribe or registered, we would need to know that, because that we would try to tailor the services to the child to that.
Exactly. And Vida, with your office, you have some technical assistance training for tribes to set up a process for when they are notified?
No, what we do is the bulk of our audiences in our Icwa trainings usually includes judges, attorneys, social workers, probation officers, and other court professionals that want to participate. And so basically how we train people in Icwa is, as a former CPS worker, I sort of take the reins on training about historical trauma, which is the not only kind of historical depiction of what Native people have been through, in particular to this state, but also the psychological impact on a family that, albeit, situations may have occurred in past, are still very present with some of the generational issues that you see within the family. So I talk about that, and about tracing one's lineage, and then the attorney on our project talks about the legal components to Icwa, the different forms you need to file, and extensive information on noticing, because that tends to be the trickier part of Icwa on occasion. And then we discuss active efforts, and then I discuss how important it is to be culturally respectful in a Native person's home, and how to do that without being offensive to the family or shutting the family out, as well as cultural case planning and the role that the tribe as well as the family can serve in a case plan, and what services that a tribe could possibly have. Every tribe has different resources available to them. And, and especially in urban areas, not everybody is necessarily aware of the plethora of resources that are available to urban Indians. So, I discuss what the services may look like, and in terms of availability.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of placing these children in a Native foster care situation, in a Native home?
Well, aside from placement preferences as dictated by the Icwa law, just aside from actually following the law, just the psychological impact that it can have on a child is tremendous. Keeping them not only within the family that they know and that they love, but keeping them within the cultural practices that they're familiar with will keep a child stable. And, I say this in not just in terms of Icwa, but I think it's important for all children, no matter what culture they come from, that they still maintain that cultural root, because that is the root that keeps a child grounded and feeling safe, and it's familiar. And, in some counties, I know that there can be a belief that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and sometimes, workers may be hesitant to place within the same family that, has a multitude of issues. However, whenever there's a CPS referral or a situation that involves CPS, really it's a family issue and should be, the whole family should undergo whatever kind of treatment is necessary. And I really believe keeping a child within their family, within their cultural root base, is important to stabilizing the child during a very traumatic time and eliminates chaos, I think.
Yes. So Delfino, in Santa Barbara County, Icwa is not recognized by non-federally recognized children as far as in the court system. So how do you guys handle that in your department when you have a child that is not an actually enrolled member of a federally recognized tribe? We have, in Santa Barbara County, we have tribal members from all over the place that have relocated here. We also have, as far as Chumash children, we have the San Ynez Reservation. There's, not that big of a membership there, but there is a huge community of non-federally recognized tribal Chumash people. So when you get cases involving these children, how are those handled?
Well, there's a couple of competing interests in all this. And even before you get to that kind of level of analysis, is that in social work practice and in social work law, there's two things going on. There's the investigation and services to the family, to the immediate family, the parents and the children, to try to reunify the child with the parent. But there's also something we call concurrency. So at the same time, there's this legal requirement that we have a plan for a permanent home for the child should the child not be able to go home. So in our view here and all counties now have this view, is that you need to identify resource families that are available to this child as soon as the child comes in contact with the department. One of the reasons for that is because we never know what child is going to wind up going home.
Right.
So the place, what might seem a temporary placement might wind up being the permanent placement, where the child winds up growing up. So we want to provide an environment and develop as many resource families as we can to meet all these different cultural needs so that the child can maintain themselves in their community. That's written in California law that you're supposed to try to keep the child in their community. So even that community can be defined as a geographic location, as a group of people. And so the state has made some efforts in trying to accommodate some of those things. One of the things that can happen with a family is that they might not have a relative available, but they might have a close family friend. And because of that, we can qualify that person as something we call a non-related extended family member, qualify them to care for that child while the parents of the child are going through the reunification process. Should that reunification fail, then that non-related extended family member is just like a foster parent. So they get to have the priority when it comes to a legal guardianship or a possible adoption, if need be, of the child. Our first effort is to try to keep the family intact. If we can't keep the family intact, then we provide services to try to reunify the child or the children back in the home. If we can't do that, then we need to try to keep them preferably within their family, if not within their community, and then it spreads out from there. But we know that our best efforts, there's a lot of statistical information that says the best stability for a child is with family or within their community.
Yes.
We also in Santa Barbara County are very big believers in what we call family decision meetings. And these are meetings that when it comes to planning for the services for the family, once we've been involved and we realize that there's a problem and that there's something going on, we ask the family, the parents, the people that we've been in contact with, do they know that we can gather together and meet with them in a sensitive, I don't want to say not intrusive, but in a open environment so that we can discuss the problems of the family and come up with a plan that hopefully can help resolve the issues in the within that little